Ling, Queen, Roach, whatever, and be the defensive one. I think that's hopefully what Rex goes for here, because I think getting crazy against this guy might be a mistake. He's a little crazy himself. He's a wild child. This is YoGer.
And representing Team GP in the blue, this is Rex.
That's right. All right. And actually just saw very recently that the owner of Team GP is actually having some medical issues at the moment, which obviously sucks. We don't want that on anyone, especially people supporting the StarCraft 2 scene. So I think if you can check out Gemini on the Twitterverse, GGEmini19 on the Twitterverse, if you do have that particular social media account, there is a link to support the owner of Team GP, who is, you know, the owner of the team that Rex is playing for tonight. We've seen a few Team GP players in this bracket. So, yeah, if you are a fan of Team GP and Rex and the other players, they have the, you know, in the Korean scene as well, consider supporting. This team is great. They're supporting players, and we should support them back.
Absolutely. This has been a fairly tame game so far. I wasn't sure whether or not to expect like one base craziness. It's always a bit of a coin flip. I remember some nights that we've casted ZVZs, whether it's in Oceania or Taiwan, Hong Kong. It's been like cheese after cheese after cheese. So glad to see some hatcheries on the low ground straight off the bat here. And perhaps we'll get some more solid macro play from these guys. YoGer against Mystery Man, I believe he actually went muta and ended up in a funky mutaverse muta position, but I do wonder if he's one of those players that tends to favor muta over the Roach headbutt kind of style.
Yeah, are there really, I mean, besides Demi, of course, people that are going, like trying to go really heavy into Spire and ZVZ at the moment? For some reason, it feels like it's such a long time since we've seen a ZVZ. I mean, obviously, this happened in GSL. I think Rogue and Solar played recently in Super Tournament. Was it Rogue and Solar? It was Rogue Solar. I might be getting my wires crossed.
Yeah, it was definitely. Was it Heart of the Swarm? I can't remember. My brain timelines are all skewed, but there was definitely a period where all the ZVZ was muta versus muta, and it was like that scenario that we were talking about with the Airtos versus Zerg Corruptible situation, where you can never judge how much the other person has, so eventually you just sort of clash and pray that your mutable was a little bit better. So don't miss that kind of ZVZ, not gonna lie. It's fun once in a while, but definitely not as the main meta.
Yeah. There was a hot minute there in Heart of the Swarm. I do agree that it was Heart of the Swarm where it was all about the Spire. They had to change the Spore Crawler to do the bonus damage to mutas to make it stop.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Pretty similar builds from these guys so far. Rex a little bit earlier on those upgrades, getting the Carapace and then that Roach Warren down in the wall, third base. Comfortably secured so far, and just continued to drone up until the point that he wanted to get some lings. So often with these earlier third bases, you'll see some lings right when the hatcheries start building to pressure. But in this case, they've had a bit of a gentleman's agreement, and Rex is going to be the first one to be the aggressor here.
So a little bit of difference in the builds, of course, with the majority of the units being built on the YoGer side here, and Carapace being built with Rex. So Rex has got the Roach Warren up, but he's kind of chilling for the most part. He's got a small contingent of lings, having a poke over here, but it should be defended, should be deflected, and is mainly droning back at home. Whereas YoGer, he's been holding that Z button. He's made a lot of lings here.
I can only assume he wants to do some counter damage here if he can get across the map without Rex dipping in behind him. Because you got to do something with these units. However, he hasn't really scattered across the other side of the map, right? He's concentrating on this skirmish because Rex is pumping units. He's making roaches, he's making a lot of links to follow that up as well. So he's going to be coming in with quite a punch, and YoGer needs to be prepared for that. He's actually back to droning at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly is, which might be the wrong call. You're quite right. Rex is really pumping out units. There's also, unfortunately for YoGer, Rex's army, for the most part, at least the roach part of his army, has kind of thread the needle on the overlords of YoGer. He's got 2 overlords covering a couple of attack paths, but he did not actually see the attack path in the middle, where the roaches just transferred straight through the straight up the guts of the map. So spine crawlers are on the way, but will it be enough? And is it in time for YoGer to hold on?
I think it's going to be a tough ask. He's going to have to pull basically everything. He's got these spines maybe just in time here. He has made 5 total, but that's where the Banes come in. He can splash 2 of those at once, and he takes those down. The Queen on the side there getting taken out as well. Roaches finding refuge next to that spine, going to continue to use that to the best of their ability, but that will go down as well, and Rex is continuing to push through.
Yeah, Rex is flooding more and more Zerglings across the map here, which are messing up the roaches defensively of YoGer. Those roaches really want to fight back against other roaches, but they keep getting distracted by the meat shield in these Zerglings. The Baneling's running into the 3rd mineral line, killing 10 drones. And this is pretty sweet damage from Rex, but he has not cracked and killed YoGer here, and he's made a lot of units to do it. So Rex needs more than this.
He does. He's still picking away at this force from YoGer. The rough thing is that he has to wait for those reinforcements to come in, and it's that situation when you've almost got enough. You've done some drone damage. You feel like maybe you're gaining some momentum, but when all is said and done, even on the work account, there is the +1 missile coming in now for Rex, and he's heading up into the lair. But YoGer's already on his way to that roach speed, so he's going to have much more ability to move around the map, to pressure, whereas Rex going to have those slow roaches, not going to be able to do the same sort of stuff, and he's going to have to sit back a little bit. Maybe just rely on these groups of lings to try and keep YoGer at home as well.
Yep. So really cool to see YoGer hold on there, and Rex is switching gears. He actually might be going spy here, Zeph. I'm seeing Overlord speed. He is getting +1 range, so maybe he goes to Ravager instead. It costs a ton of gas to go Ravager. I mean, each Roach Ravager basically costs what a meter costs when you think about it. But the Spire actually goes down for YoGer here, while getting +2 ranged attack for these Roaches. Oh my.
All right. Yeah, just pure Roach for Rex. Okay. Well, we'll see how much he commits to that Spire. I mean, you can go ham on it, or you can just make a few and then force a reaction from your opponent, get them on the defensive, get them making spores and worried about having to defend against the Air Force, and then just overwhelm on that ground. That +2 missile is such an important upgrade. And if you hit a timing with that, you can quite often kill your opponent.
Actually, ooh, was that a Spire cancel into an Infestation Pit?
Mm-hmm. Sure was. I think because he just scouted in the main base of Rex with the Overseer, right? And he sees the Hydra Den coming up. So I guess in his head he might have gone like, is this even worth it? Maybe not. Maybe I just make Infestation Pit, make it really hard for him to engage me. And then he has Fungal and the missile attack. So let's see how these drops go from Rex. This is very cool. We don't see much of this.
I mean, we're talking about Heart of the Swarm and a bowl of roaches with +2 attack and a bunch of infestors with them supporting. It reminds me of Heart of the Swarm. It's the early stages. Yeah, the Baneling drop coming on in, but the jig is up. It gets scouted and it gets deflected there. Hive starting for YoGer here.
Ah, okay.
All right.
So maybe looking ahead to Lurkers.
Yeah, maybe straight into Lurkers. I mean, the Rex does have the Hydra Den in the main mineral line, which was scouted by YoGer, by the way. So maybe YoGer saw the Hydra Den, thought, no Spire because we will up against the Hydras, and he can deflect that. Let's try and fight him with more powerful tier 3 units. Oh, Roaches zigging when they should have zagged there. Some free Roaches for YoGer. Ling run by trying to hit that 3rd base, but deflected by YoGer's defenses.
Oh, gotta watch those biles. Gosh, he cuts it close, but he pulls back at a really nice timing there, does YoGer. And Rex has a slightly better concave here, trying to use the biles and moving forward very nicely to dodge and capitalize on his own damage here on the front lines. Does he have enough to get rid of YoGer out of this position? He is continuing to push forward, trying to get on top of those Ravagers.
Yeah, I think defender's advantage is like a little bit too huge in ZVZ, right? Like you got those, you got the second and the third hatchery just rallying right together into one spot, into one choke point. And while YoGer's army looked pretty convincing at first, and he had the +2 attack, which matters a lot more than having +1 armor here for Rex, which is what he has. The army of YoGer not quite powerful enough to snowball through, and Rex still massing roaches as well. Oh man, it is going to be +2 attack, +1 Carapace roaches against +2 attack, +1 Carapace roaches. Zeph, this is peak StarCraft.
It absolutely is. And YoGer, behind that attack, finally got the Hydra Den as well. So that gives him the option of dropping the Lurker Den after this, and he will have that upgrade readily available. Hasn't used that tech at all just yet, though. He's busy investing in the defense and in the attack when he gets the opportunity against this roach ball from Rex. Peels off a few roaches here on the side, but he's actually getting pushed back by Rex. He really needed those roaches in the main force.
Yeah, and the acceleration zone helped Rex a lot with that battle. He was like launch padding into that group of roaches from YoGer, getting the positioning and all of his units firing on the retreating force. And now he's got himself a lovely concave, a lovely army supply lead. And even if he gets pushed back, he can take the hatchery with him as he leaves.
That looks like it is his strategy. He's not getting too over eager with it either. He's going forward, trying to take out as much of that roach force as possible, and just getting that hatchery on the way out. Going to run home. The roaches that YoGer sent to Rex's house are getting cleaned up by the reinforcements as well. So it doesn't look like any damage was done with that force.
YoGer had such a good early to mid game here, but he's starting to lose control of the CVZ. I tell you what, Rex looking quite good. He's made a lot of great decisions in a row here, and you cannot make any mistakes against a player as good as Rex. And making several in a row is definitely not a recipe for success. All right, Rex going to rotate here. He's maxed out Zeph. Huge lead for Rex at the moment in the supply. And he's going to go up to the top left and try and force the issue.
Yeah, he really has chosen his engagements nicely. A small group of roaches trying to get up the smaller ramp here on the right side. YoGer's got a bit of a better position here, at least on the bottom side, but on the top, looks like Rex has a better concave. At least for a moment, he's continuing to push forward and try to get on top of those units again. 17 more roaches in production. Likewise, YoGer continuing to churn out more roaches himself. And it's hard to say what's happening here. It looks like the
roaches
southern
are killing roaches.
part of the attack. Yeah,
Ravages are definitely dying. I think a lot of the army supply advantage that Rex had was not in this fight. Obviously, it's in production and also on the way. But if it's all together right here, right now, then YoGer is going to fold like a house of cards. It's just going to be very, very rough for him. Oh, one Ravager getting caught on the backside. That is nice. That's 3 supply going down. But again, fighting in the acceleration zone and giving Rex that launch pad once more to dive on top of his army, have every single one of his units firing and taking damage on YoGer's army. And Rex maintains almost 30 army supply lead as he gets on top of this army. I actually would love it if Rex had Lings with this army. It feels like if he had a ball of Lings at the front to be able to surround and keep YoGer from retreating back to his natural, back to the third choke point, that this would be a done deal even faster, but it may still, as Rex is kind of just snowballing here.
Yeah, he's running away with it at this point. Even though they have even upgrades, it's too much, and Rex will take game number 1, on Jagannatha there. Very nicely done. And that wasn't a bad game by YoGer by any means, but Rex
no, he was winning at one point. I feel like after he held at the start with Rex's pretty committed attack, he was actually winning. He was actually in a really good spot. But it felt like he had even from that point, he was still in a good spot following into the mid game. But then once it got to the point when you're at 4 bases and you're just basically making units, you're done building drones, that's when YoGer started to, at least army movement wise, fall a little bit behind Rex. He really couldn't keep up with Rex's attacks. Every time he tried to answer back, he was completely deflected. I think he actually only attacked once, if I'm not mistaken, maybe twice, but either way, he was completely deflected. And Rex's attacks, I mean, this is the one that Rex put a ton of resources into and did not get a whole lot of value on. But after this attack, every attack that Rex did damage.
Yeah, He really did pick his engagements nicely. YoGer came in for a big, heavy hit, and this looked a little bit scary, but there was that Ling flank there that distracted a bunch of the units, and Rex kept sort of micring forward, always forward. When you watch him engage, it felt like YoGer was like confident in the beginning, and then he would always end up drawing the short straw at the end of the day and having to retreat, not able to get that big ball of roaches that could actually contest Rex's forces. And he got Hive behind this. He got the Hydra Den, but he never got to use it because he was locked into this roach headbutt that never ended.
Yeah, quite right. Hive didn't really play a factor at all, and the Hydra Den never played a factor at all. It felt like things were going to shift and both players would go in different directions, but they locked horns in the roach stage of the game, and sometimes StarCraft be that way in ZVZ. that was one of those games. It was also, I mean, one of the more interesting things about that game was the utilization of the acceleration zone from Rex. I mentioned it a couple times in the cast, but if your opponent is retreating and you give the other player the acceleration zone, they can stutter step a few times as you're retreating and get that, however many volleys that is of damage on your army for free, which was a big start to Rex maintaining or getting and then maintaining that 30 so army supply lead, which was just a cool little tidbit that you'll only get on Jagannatha.
Yeah, it's definitely cool how we have some speedy zones and some slow zones mixed into the maps here. It definitely adds a little interesting dynamic, and I think it makes it a little more exciting, right? You have Roach Headbutt, it's very hard kind of fights to engage. Not everyone's a fan of that style of ZVZ, but when you add these little quirks in on the map, I think it adds just that something extra that kind of separates some players from others in terms of how they utilize that to their advantage. But yeah, a really cool ZVZ, very action-packed for the first one.
Certainly was, and after the break, Zeph, I think we're going to get into game 2. It promises to be more of the same. So guys, don't go away. We'll see you then after the break. G'day, StarCraft fans. Welcome back to what potentially, we hope not, but potentially could be the last ZVZ match of the evening, with Rex currently on match point against YoGer, who had a valiant effort, a pretty good early game, but couldn't quite capitalize and solidify that into a victory. Will he do it now in game 2? I hope so. I think every series so far has actually been a 3-game series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we've been lucky. Sometimes we've had a whole lot of 2-0s and 3-0s all the way through, which has made it a very short night and made us very sad because we have limited time casting these group stages, and we like to get the maximum amount of games out of everybody and obviously get a chance for all these players to showcase their skills. Because when it's 2-0, 3-0, you don't really get to see what players are made of, and you miss out on some really cool games. So YoGer definitely putting up a good fight in game number 1. I do have faith after seeing that he could definitely take the next map. However, Rex just seems to have a little bit more finesse to his ZVZ play, and he's still looking like the stronger player.
So far, so good. But can this kid upset the balance? In the top right of 2,000 atmospheres, he is YoGer.
And in the bottom left, in the blue, very cheeky, this is Rex.
Now, is this the macro build version of the 12 pool? Or are the drones going to go for a walk, Zeph?
That is the question. Slaps that pull down right next to the Team GP logo there.
Yeah, what's up, Team GP?
Soon find out how much he's looking to commit into this attack.
Well, I don't see a drone going to take a hatchery just yet. I mean, he will in a second if he's going to expand.
I mean, if you're the one that's 1-0 up in the series, you have the ability to do this.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's the drone walk.
It is.
And YoGer has gone hatch, gas pool, bless his cotton socks. He's in so much trouble.
Yeah. Now, you can hold this. It's not impossible.
YoGer's face. Yeah. YoGer just smiles. He's like, all right.
It's, yeah, it is a hard ask. Don't get me wrong. Hence the little smirk there as it gets closer and closer to that hatchery. So here he comes. Up the ramp he goes. First 3 drones ready to drop those spines.
Yeah, and there's still plenty more drones where that came from to add a little bit of DPS into this ball of units. And obviously Rex extremely all in here. YoGer can stand to lose a little bit. He can stand to lose his natural, all that sort of stuff, but he cannot lose the main. And that is where all the fighting is going to be happening here. He's very, very committed. Oh, actually a defensive spine crawler from YoGer gets picked off by Rex.
That's really important for Rex.
That is indeed. That's a good start for Rex here with this attack. His 2 spine crawlers getting very close to done. YoGer now paying attention on the spine crawlers, ignoring the lings and drones of Rex. So Rex gets a bit of surround on YoGer's units, and the spines finish. Oh no, YoGer.
Oh, this is a really rough situation because now he doesn't really have anything to back up into. What you want to do is buy time, hope that spine gets up, and then you're in with a shot. But now he's going to lose his pool. He's got 1 queen. He's going to make as many lings as he can with what he's got left, with the time that he has left. But he still has to take out these spines, these lings, these drones.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Like, there's no spawning pool anymore for YoGer. He has to basically fight back with what he has right now. He can't make spines. He can't make queens. He can't make lings.
And this is the best shot he's got while the spine is trying to move, but is he getting the better engagement on the ramp? I'm not sure if he is. It's really hard to tell who's coming out on top, but it looks like Rex does have a little bit left over. The spine is still going to burrow here, but ultimately YoGer has a little bit more left at the end of the day. Can he get rid of this spine before it takes out all of his stuff?
I mean, looks so good for getting rid of these spines. 2 lings show up and go, oh, nope. Turn around and go back home.
Wow.
YoGer adjusts himself in his seat there. And he's like, all right, well, here we go. This is scratching his head. He's like, I can make a drone. I can go up to 6 workers here. And Rex is just going to tap. All right.
Wow. Definitely worth a shot.
Yep.
He's having a giggle.
I mean, what do we say about this series is tonight? It is going to go to game 3, so there we go. Rex trying on something for size, getting aggressive, and it almost worked. It was so close, killing the spawning pool of his opponent, but still getting deflected by what remained from YoGer.
Yeah.
He was just a hair's breadth away from winning that game.
That's exactly right. And that's why it's such a worthwhile strategy. If you're one up, you can definitely do it. And YoGer had the right idea in the defense, sneakily putting down that spine crawler, but Rex, too smart to fall for it, send something over there to deal with it so it couldn't build. You want to buy time up here on the high ground and then eventually evacuate to the low ground. If you have a spine, this is actually a lot easier to hold because he eventually has to move the spines downstairs, and that's kind of your moment. And you can reposition your spine as well. But yeah, he took his opportunity here, and you're right. This is really what turned it around.
Yep, the spine crawler is not being able to burrow and get any more damage done than natural, and the Zerglings just not able to get anything else done. Like if there was another group of maybe 6 to 8 lings with those spine crawlers, obviously Rex is going to win. But YoGer just hanged on by the edge of his nails there. It was quite clutch, honestly, for him to hold that. I feel like I've seen that game before where the Zergs rushed the 12 pool drone pool and the spine was actually blocked from burrowing into the national. I think it actually happened in GSL, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Because this build is just so... It happens at least once every best of 3 in a ZVZ.
It has to.
12 pool
it's the rules.
That's right. It is the rules. Every Zerg is written a contract in blood that they must do this now in current age, current year, to do it at least once in a best of 3 or bigger.
Yeah.
And now it's out of the road. We don't have to do it anymore.
Yep. Or do we? It would be really wild to end the night on 2 of those in a row. I don't think that'll happen. This is the qualifying match for the playoffs here. These two, the last couple of players alive in Group B. Only one can advance. Up here in the top right in the red, he's stayed alive, but can he close it out? This is YoGer.
And in the bottom left, still making drones. No more spawning pools. All right. This is Team GP's Rex.
Okay. Hatcheries. That's a good sign.
Hatchery first for both sides. The gentleman's opener.
Yes. Don't always get to do this one on ladder. You learn some harsh lessons if you do. Very good place to practice your 12 pool drone pool. Funnily
North
enough.
American ladder. Or just ladder in general.
Well, ladder in general, honestly. I feel like people give NA a bad rap, but find one server where you don't get memed on.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, obviously, I think when people look at a server and they look at the server's reputation, they look at the higher level of that server. Because I tell you what, if you play like Masters or under on any server, you are going to get your pants cheesed off at least 50% of your games.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You pick any server. You know, Europe, North America, whatever, Taiwan, Korea. It's
That's
coming.
True.
I feel like so many Zergs, like there's a lot more Zergs that just play tech shift bingo where they'll drop the tech structures and they'll be like, what am I making with this lava? You'll never know.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. Ooh, fast Evo for YoGer. Okay. So trying to hide the fact that he's going to get some upgrades here. This usually means lings.
Yes. Question is, did Rex even make a pair of lings?
Actually, maybe not, because he's actually not getting ling speed here. Rex hasn't made anything yet.
Huh. Okay.
Starts melee, but he's not getting ling speed. He's getting melee before ling speed. Wow.
Yeah, so it is nice to catch wind of this ahead of time, but Rex, if he's not actually making a pair of lings to scout in here, you know, he could kind of be caught by surprise. We'll see. Yeah, him maybe wall off here a little bit because, well, when your opponent has the speed first, obviously they have map control, they have the mobility over you, so you're stuck on the defensive.
Certainly. Big flood of lings coming out for Rex here, and the Baneling Nest. That's a lot of lings. He's getting a third as well, so he could go, technically he could go back into droning, but this is absolutely an attack from Rex. He's not making these lings just for aesthetic reasons. This is for kill.
Yeah, he's seen the wall here, understanding that, okay, well, clearly you're not ready to defend against this in any other way. You absolutely need the wall. Drops a spore to finish off that wall, but one ling sneaks through. That spore is actually going to die pretty quick. The other queen can move up and take its place.
Oh my god, this walling from YoGer is actually pretty sick. He's doing a really good job. He's trying to just buy himself some time. He's got +1 melee, nearly done, ling speed nearly done, and his own ling's about to come in through as well, and suddenly the hunter has become the hunted.
Yeah, it's actually really bad news too. If you take that engagement and don't realize that +1 just kicked in, you can get absolutely shredded. Now he does have banelings coming in here, and YoGer backs up a little bit, doesn't want to engage right next to those.
Is YoGer just smiling? It seems like he's got a half smile the whole time, like he's just having the time of his life playing this tournament. I love it.
That's what you like to see.
Oh, the Baneling's going on in. He goes for the target fire on the Banes. It's the cluster of lings. He actually gets one of the Banelings there. That's a nice pick off. Oh, God.
My goodness.
Picks up the other one.
He does get them both. Yes. It doesn't look like he has any queens left. Not sure if there's one in the main. Surface area. Will the +1 melee carry him through here? More Banelings coming in. Oh no, Rex is in the mineral line.
Yeah, Rex managed to get this around on the lings of YoGer there in the natural. It was a little bit awkward, but eventually they snuck on through and got that positioning, and that matters a lot more than the upgrade when you have the numbers, which Rex does and still has. YoGer desperately trying to continue to make lings, but he can't keep up with it. He doesn't have any injects in the natural. He doesn't have the lava, and there it is. GG.
GG. Wow. Well, those were two very, very fast games. Great fight.